Alright guys, we are going to be making one of the easiest pie crusts that I have ever made before. And I've always been intimidated about pie crust just because of the nature of dough and stuff like that. So when I found this recipe, I have been loving making homemade pie crust. It's no fail, it's so easy, it always works out. I've never not had it work out. So what I have here in the bowl is just 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and I've always used all-purpose. I would assume you could try other flours if you'd like, but this is what we've always done. And then I'm going to have Slade help me. And then what we have right here is 1 teaspoon of salt. Do you want to dump that in, Slade? So, and that's just the Himalayan pink salt. You can use regular table salt if you choose. So in this I've got a 1/2 cup of olive oil, and then right here I've got a 1/4 cup of almond milk. You can use dairy milk or non-fat dry milk if you choose. I've tried it with all 3 and it all works really well. So what you do is you dump your milk in with your olive oil. Alright, so we're just gonna stir the olive oil and milk together. And before I jump it in, I'm going to stir the salt and flour. Just want to stir it around really good. Okay, I'm going to dump in this. Jump. Alright, then you just stir this together. Nope, not right now. I gotta stir this. You just want to stir it up. So to recap again, I had 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, and you can use regular salt. I had the Himalayan sea salt. And then a 1/2 cup of olive oil or vegetable oil, canola oil, whatever you choose. And then a 1/4 cup of milk of your choice. The only milk I've never really tried is an almond, or not almond milk, coconut milk. I don't know what it would taste like with that. But you just want to get the flour combined with the olive oil and milk mixture, and then you can use your hands to mix it together, the rest of it. The good thing about using an oil compared to like a shortening or a butter is that you're not going to overmix the dough. It's really hard to run it, and you don't have to refrigerate this dough either. So now I'm just going to get my hands in there. And something that you might have to do is you might have to add a little tiny bit of water once you get it mixed. There's times I've had to add a little water and other times where I haven't, but I just start with those main measurements at first and see where it goes. And you can see that it's a little bit crumbly and not staying together as well as I'd like, so I'm going to add a little bit of water. Seems like a pretty good consistency to me, so I'm going to stick with that. I'm not going to add any more liquids to it, and then we're going to roll it out. And I just use parchment paper or freezer paper, and I roll it out in between 2 pieces of that, and then I don't have to use flour or make a mess on my counter. So I'm going to move it over there and then we'll roll it out. This is the pie plate I'm going to be using, and it's always good to set your pie plate down on the crust just to make sure you rolled it out far enough. So it looks big enough to me. I'm going to take the paper. And you can see it's definitely not a perfect circle by any means, but I'm going to be trimming it anyway, so that's okay. So I'll put our pie pan here, put underneath it, flip it around. Now, take that off, and then you just smooth out, but you can see the quality of the dough. It's so easy to work with, and it looks awesome, I think. Comparing to my previous past pie experiences, this one always turns out well and goes smooth. I never worry about it not working out. So I'm just going to finish trimming the edges. And I'm going to take a knife and just go around the side and make sure it's even, and then I'll have extra pie dough to do something else with. And I'm not the best at decorating the edges. I never have been. But I definitely don't like to waste it. And there's other things you can do with pie dough. Something that we did when I was little is to sprinkle the dough with cinnamon and sugar, shape it into different shapes that you want, and put cinnamon and sugar on it, bake it in the oven like you were baking a pie crust, and they're just kind of like cinnamon sugar chips. And they are actually really, really good. So I have quite a bit of extra, probably not enough to make a whole nother pie crust, but something else that I've done too is make little bitty pies in muffin cups, and then you can do that as well, and that's probably what I'll end up doing with this extra crust, and I'll show you the final product here in a second. Then you can just even it out, and if you want to, you can kind of decorate the edges a little bit. Just the fact that I was able to make a pie crust is huge for me because it's definitely not been one of my strong points, but I'm just going to even out the edges and just kind of go with that. But you'll just want to follow pie directions for whatever recipe you're doing, whether it's a cheesecake pie or a pumpkin pie, sweet potato pie, lemon meringue pie, whatever you choose. And this one we are going to make a homemade pumpkin pie, and I will do a recipe for you in a separate video. The recipe I do is really, really, really delicious. And then I also will do this. Poke holes in the bottom. I'm going to stick this in the fridge while I make my pumpkin pie filling. So now that is ready to go in the fridge. I'm just going to cover it with some aluminum foil and saran wrap just so it doesn't go hard, and then I will bake it here after my pie filling is done.